right.
Yeah. Yo. Oh, I knew it was gonna happen. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yo, sir, it is your boy Best Worst X, and we are back again with another interview with
Artemis Prime.
Artemis Prime. All right, so man, what type of name is Artemis Prime?
Artemis Prime is that's a nickname that some friends gave me back in the day because my name is Art, and Art is just open to a lot of nicknames. So I've just had multiple nicknames, and Artemis Prime is just one that a couple friends gave me back in the day. So a little after I started rapping, I thought that'd be a cool rap name, Artemis Prime.
Are you into Transformers or anything?
I do like the movies. I watched the cartoons a little bit as a kid, but I wasn't like super religious with it. But I was into it. The movies, the first couple, I liked a lot. I liked how they were done.
Okay.
So those were dope. And I like what Optimus Prime stands for.
I got you.
He's about like just like what's right and shit, which I know is corny, but I like what Optimus Prime's about.
Is that what your music's about?
That's why. There's partially, yeah. I would say, yeah. There's definitely a conscious tip to it. I also try not to, tell people how to live their lives. You live how you want to live, but it's more just my take. But yeah, I would say it's part of it.
All right, so let's get into that. Like,
Okay.
what is your origin? Like, where'd you start off? Like,
My origin in music actually started from when I was younger. From about like third grade, I joined the orchestra just because it seemed interesting. And I actually played viola just because I was like, I feel like no one I know plays viola. I just want to do the different thing. So that was cool. I wasn't like great at it, but that's how I learned, started learning music.
okay.
That's how I started learning kind of how music works. And then I wanted to do the saxophone a couple years later, but my mom is like overprotective. I have immigrant parents. So she was like, nah, like you have asthma. It wasn't that bad, but she was like, that's not good. No, whatever. But it kind of worked out because a couple years later, I was like, what about drums? She was like, all right, drums. Okay. And I ended up like loving it. So drums is how I evolved, I'd say, as a musician, and what led me into liking hip hop and rap because of my understanding of kind of how rhythm works. And I sort of translated it into rap.
Bro, I've done like 6 interviews before you, and all of them were drummers. Nah, that's just crazy. I'm putting together patterns. That's all I'm really doing.
Drumming and rapping, I think, are very similar, and that's why.
That's pretty dope.
Rapping's almost like the drumming of like your voice, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And singing is like playing guitar, like more like melodic stuff.
Okay.
You know?
So how long have you been doing just music in general? You said since third grade. But
Yeah, since the third grade. So man,
when did the microphone become?
that? Well, I never had. I started late because I never had a good confidence. So I was a late bloomer with rap for sure. Okay. I started getting into it in and out like as a kid, but then there were other kids I knew that listened to it that kind of acted like just douchebags, and it made me not want to like rap.
Right.
And they're like, fuck those kids. But it's just, in hindsight you realize it's just, that shouldn't affect your view. But I was a kid. But in and out. And then in high school, I had a friend introduced me to more stuff like old school Kanye, Common, Conscious stuff. And I was like, ooh, I like this. Because they also had dope like soul music behind it, and I was big into that. So that kind of got me into it. And I would freestyle a little bit here and there in high school, nothing too crazy. I started doing it more probably like sophomore year of college. I would just release freestyles on YouTube. Nothing written, it was just me going. They weren't like the greatest, but it was just me playing around, Mm-hmm. And then I kind of dropped it for a little bit because I was with a band, trying to make it that way. I was a drummer of a band, and then didn't really quite work out, and for a while I wasn't sure what to do. And I would do rap, like I did record with this group, Robot Desperados. They're in Philly. Shout out to them, doing their thing. So I that was the first time I wrote. I was probably 20 years old, something like that, 20 something. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I believe like 19 or 20 years old. So that was cool. But then I put it down for a minute, and then around 20, towards the end of 20, being like 23, 24. So this was like 2000, like 15, somewhere in there. I decided, hey, what if we just went for it? Or whatever. And then I started writing, like for real, just making songs and rapping. I've been doing it ever since.
Okay. When do you think your cutoff time is for making music?
I don't know. I mean, probably. I'll never stop making music, but taking it seriously. I don't know exactly when. I mean, I would think maybe within the next few years. I would think possibly within the next few years. Because I'm 31 now. So, I do understand that the clock. I mean, you can't continue to go for it, but there's other things, in my life that I also, would like to do. So, I'll never stop making music. But the cutoff time, I feel like when it's time, I'll know. I feel like when it's time, I'll know to do it less, or, to go in another direction, especially if my heart says something. So, but for now, it's full, full steam ahead.
Are you an artist or you're a rapper?
Rappers are artists, depending on the kind of rapper I guess they are. Or I guess all rappers, I think, to an extent, are artists. I would consider myself both. I would consider myself a rapper and an artist. I think all rappers are artists. Now, whether they're, your opinion on their art, that's up to the eye of the beholder, I guess. But I would say all rappers are artists. I don't like that rapper recently has been getting a bad name. I want to try to change that.
Okay. I like that answer. This is different. So, how did you become you?
Well, how did I become me? I think from a young age, I always kind of caught on, like I was just always a little different from the rest. I can't quite explain it. It's just I never really got along with a lot of people. I would try to be nice, and it didn't really work. So I was always, from a young age, I kind of was a sort of a loner. Okay. Sort of like, I didn't have a whole lot of friends growing up. A couple, but not a whole lot. I had one close friend, when I met in first grade, but by like third grade he moved, so it was kind of, it was a little different after that. Like he moved to a whole other, like North Carolina. So I was always kind of used to just being with myself. Okay. And eventually I got like into video games a little bit as I got older. As like, I would say, with like around like, I think I got like a first PlayStation at like 7. So maybe like a year or so after that, I started getting more into it. Cause when you don't have a whole lot of friends, there's only so many things, that you can do with your time. So I kind of turned to that, and I ended up getting into fantasy games, which I liked because I liked the idea of like superheroes and saving the world. I liked the idea of all that. So that was cool. And, just I guess a lot of thinking, a lot of thinking with myself, kind of talking with myself. When I was in like middle school and in high school, if I got like a C on my report card, my dad would say like no games or TV, for the marking period. For the whole, so my mom would be like, "That's crazy, just not when your dad's home." I was like, "That's wild," but you can't do it. I can't do anything when your dad's home though. You're on your own. So, but it kind of worked out because those times I would just be in my room just thinking, not necessarily writing, a little bit sometimes, but for the most part, just kind of thinking about stuff. So I'd say that's, I think, how I became me. At least that's the first part of what made me, and then music was my outlet in a lot of this. I'd always have the boombox on like all the time, just flipping between stations I like, and that definitely helped make me who I was. And then I'd say, but again, I grew up in a way like I never had to worry about breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Like I didn't have it wasn't like crazy. The only struggle was kind of like socially, but that anything like structure wise, everything was held down by mom and dad. But when I was in my beginning of my second year of college, I got in a car accident that messed my neck up. I didn't really realize how bad it was till years later, and that really helped me in a perspective of life of like, hey, there are things like struggles are out of your control now that you just have to learn to live with. That I think completed the artist. Okay. Almost say like, I wonder what kind of artist I'd be if that didn't happen. Given the fact I didn't have too much struggle growing up. It wasn't I could get anything I want. It wasn't like, hey, Dad, can I have this? He's like, nah, you got to pay for it. But I never had to worry. You know what I mean? So I would say comfortable. Okay. I would say comfortable. But then when that happened, years later, I was like, oh, okay. I did so this is, and it gives you, and my parents would always try to make me be appreciative of life because they were immigrants and, and they came from a different kind of, time, a different kind of, environment. But then when something actually happens to you that you physically can't like now do anything about, it gives you're like, oh, okay. The life, you understand how grateful, you understand how like lucky you are, because if that accident happened differently, I might have been paralyzed or died. Right. So the fact is, so you kind of get like, oh, so this thing I have to deal with. Yes, it's not great, but it's better than a lot of other things that could have happened. So that I think completed me, and just going through, life, girlfriends, all that shit, and just friends, getting betrayed, getting not, people backstabbing you, not all that stuff, all that's in my music, girlfriend stuff, friend stuff, and social conscious stuff. And like I said, just being a thinker and I think I was a thinker because I was a loner.
That's dope.
It's a lot. I'm sorry.
That's not dope, bro. But like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
That's dope in a way.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, it's dope that you found yourself through that. But we're gonna pause.
All
right, then we're back. So like, you were talking about how your parents were like immigrants and stuff like that. Where are they from?
Yeah, well, they're from Portugal. They're from Portugal. My dad, born and raised. My mom was actually originally from Mozambique. So she actually had a little bit of a more comfortable childhood than my dad. They were from Mozambique because that was during when Portugal still had like colonies in Africa. But then the revolution happened, so then they had to leave. So then she was in Portugal with my dad, and that's how they met. 'Cause she went there, and then eventually my dad, because he had a sister who lived here, so then he moved here, kind of scoped it out, was like okay, and then my mom came soon after, and then they did the American Dream thing.
Oh,
did the American, and then
that's cool.
My dad got into real estate, and he figured it out. he figured out how to make it work, and and here we are.
That's super solid.
Yeah.
So where are you from?
Originally I'm from Northeast Philly. I spent the first young part of my life there. So it's, I from the few memories I have of it, I enjoyed it. It was a good time, it was a good first house. And then we moved to Newtown, Bucks County, which is definitely more of a nice area, when my dad, was able to stack up a little more. We moved there, and I guess it's like probably like upper middle class, but some people there are middle, some people are lower middle. It's probably a little mix of there, and there's definitely like upper too. There's definitely like upper, like when I was a senior in high school, and the seniors had like parking spots and shit. There was definitely some nice cars.
Oh wow.
There definitely some nice cars. But we were, we were definitely comfortable, but also like my mom got shit from got our dishes and everything from like the dollar store. Like, so we were like, we were good, but we weren't like super good. Like, we couldn't just get anything. Like, the bills were paid and nothing had to worry about. But like any extra you want, like that's not happening. You're gonna have to like, if I there's kids who just got whatever they wanted when they asked. Like, if I did that, my dad would be like, "You're gonna have to get money for that." But that helped make me who I am. So I'm glad, I'm glad he did that. He started doing that when I was like 10 years old. He's like, "You like the video games? They cost money, right? So from now on, you're buying your video games." I'm like, "I don't have a job." He's like, "Well, you have to figure that out."
Okay.
He's like, "You're gonna have to wait till you get birthday money, Christmas money, until you're old enough to have a job." But again, I'm glad he did that. It makes me value shit now. I understand what's the worth of things. Because there's a lot of kids I grew up with who, I don't know about a lot, but there's a good amount that I grew up with that or maybe that spoiled stereotype.
Yeah.
That you hear about.
I feel that. I feel that. So, with music, how does that translate? Do you consider yourself like can't even think of the name, but like an independent artist?
Well, I am an independent artist, but you mean like more like conscious?
Yeah, kinda. Nah, but I when you have that like type of hustle like instilled into you, like does that help you like push out the best of you, or like?
Yeah. Well, I also do consider that my biggest weakness, because compared to a lot of people I know, I'm super lazy. Because I was kind of content as a kid. I never really wanted to work that hard because it never took me. It wasn't that difficult for me to get like decent grades.
Okay.
And I was never that interested in school. I never really had like a super passion. I was always into drumming and music, but I didn't maybe practice as much as I should have. I did practice a good amount, but probably not as much as I should have. So I was always kind of like just kind of like existing, just kind of like going here, like I'd get done what I had to get done, and then I would say what kind of changed a little bit of that is probably around the time, like towards the end of college and a little after, when my anxiety was getting pretty bad. I didn't really know I had anxiety, but I had this like constant like head cloud. It's still there, but it's not really as bad today. But I had this constant like feeling like just out of it. I wasn't really sure what was going on. That's kind of how I found out about like how bad my neck really was, because I had other MRIs done and stuff. But I wasn't really sure what was up, and just during that time, I was kind of just thinking about life and the fragility of it all, and how like, I've from a young age I was always I kind of like became aware of death. I was like, oh shit! But as a kid, like you just kind of try to block it out. But I think one day it caught up to me, and because I was always just really worried about it without even realizing like that shit would, like if I start thinking about it, I'd get freaked out. And I think one day it caught up to me, and I just I think it was because I was just with this girl at the time, and like she was cool, like it was good, but like I didn't feel it as much there, even though she was good. Like we were supposed to get married, people were like expecting us to move in together, pop the question, everything, but I didn't. I was like, it's like my life's on autopilot. It's like I'm not living my life, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing this anymore. And that's when I was like, oh, but if you have to do that, that means you have to like work. And I was like, all right, let's do it.
Okay.
So so yeah, then again like rap was the translation because I want to get there's a lot of thoughts that I have that I want to get out, and to me, hip hop is the perfect home to do it. To get it out in a cool because you get to do it in a cool creative way. You get to express words in a way that you can't express them in any other kind of form.
Okay. When I first met you, we basically met at a cipher.
Yeah.
And like, how many ciphers have you done before that?
Unofficial, I don't know how much, but like officially a few. I've been in a few ciphers. I went to like a team backpack event. That was cool. Yeah.
That's dope.
It was really cool. It was cool. I went to there was a couple in Philly I did. So yeah, I've been a part of a few ciphers. They're cool.
Okay. Have you done like any performances and stuff like that too?
Yeah. I've been performing on my own for almost like 7 years now, probably. I performed all over Philly. I've performed at South by Southwest. I've done stuff in Vegas. I went on like a little tour last year. So we hit Atlanta, Nashville, Louisville. I went to Tampa. Where I performed in New York, Brooklyn. Maybe other places I'm forgetting. I don't know. All different parts of PA, to different parts of Pennsylvania. Kind of that out in the middle of nowhere sometimes.
Okay.
But yeah, and just a bunch of places all over Philly too.
What's it like hopping on stage and like performing for a crowd? Oh my gosh! All right, so what? Let me talk again. What's it like? What's it like actually performing for a crowd?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. There's nothing like it to really like, be there with the people, and especially when you could tell that they're into what you're saying. And it's like it's an energy exchange that's just like there's nothing like it. It's so awesome. I love it. Definitely a lot different than playing drums when you're in the background. You're still kind of feeling it, but you're not really looking at the people like that the way when you're up with a mic and you're rapping to the people. It's a whole different thing. But I love it. I love being able to like express myself and the fact that they're vibing with it. That's the best feeling in the world.
What is your favorite part about making music or music in general?
Performing is it might be my favorite. Also, when you think of like a awesome line while you're writing, that's a great feeling because you feel like you just hacked like some kind of code or something.
Okay.
So I like that, and performing is pretty awesome because it's like a drug. It really is. Performing is like a drug.
Okay, I kind of heard that before. Where do you think your passion comes from?
Good question. I feel like from a young age, I don't understand why or how I'm like this. I can't really tell you. Maybe it's because I was a little bit of an outcast, but I don't know what came first. I don't know if this is why I'm an outcast, though. I've always been like, why is the world like so messed up? Like from a young age, I was like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. I don't understand what's happening. And like, I've always thought like we can do better. We can be, because a lot of us are aware that we can do better. There's this other part of us that's like we have to fight with sometimes, I guess. So I think my passion comes from wanting for the human race to be better, for the world to be better, for me to be better. Because like in order to start that, you got to make yourself better first. Like Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the only way to start it. So that's what I'm trying to do, and by being better, by taking care of my laziness, by taking care of other bad demons that have held me back in the past, and still sometimes to this day, you know, I definitely, it's not like I conquered them. It's not like I just, you know, I definitely still struggle every day. I just learn to deal with it better. But yeah, so my passion comes from like straight up, dude, aspiring for world peace, because I thought about like, you know, when I thought about like death and everything and all that, like what helped get me out of that was like, I got super high once. I was with my homie. We were watching the Cosmos, and that shit kind of that was almost like a religious experience for me. It was kind of just understanding like the universe and how everything works, and it's like it felt like going to church in a weird way. So you see that, and you're like, man, you're only alive once. Like, how can you best? Who knows what happens after that? We don't know, but what we know is we're here now. That's what we know. And like, how can you best use that time? I'm like, what better use of your time than trying to bring the world more together? Like, what's a better use of your time? There is none. There's no better use of your time than making this better than when you left it. So that is my passion. And I think music is the best way to do that, because nothing speaks to people like music. Like, a good movie is the dope. Don't get me wrong. A good movie will stick with you. You'll learn a couple things. But like, music seems to transcend something that no other form of art could see. I mean, again, a great painting will definitely hit you, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to downplay other art. I'm not. I know maybe it sounds like I am, but I'm really not. But for some reason, songs hit people in such a way that I don't see any other art hitting people. You know?
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And we're gonna pause.
All right.
Yo, let me kick a flow and let me spit this rhyme. You on my time, bitch, this Artimes prime. And all I do is shine, cool is what I define. Y'all know I got the juice, so you can keep it line. Cause my bitch is fine, I keep them all in line. Y'all do what you want, just keep the head in line. Make sure you give me time, I need it, I'm not lying. And yeah, I'm being selfish, no, I'm not apologizing. Don't like it, you can dip, it's the attitude now, shit. Never thought I'd say this, but niceness have a limit. Now it's always at my core, don't you get it twisted. But I put the shields up before I get the gifted. Yeah, the gifted, that's when I let you in. I tell you my biggest fears and my daily visions. If I feel it enough, I let you in on the scheme. And if the vibe is right, 17 warriors, know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Said, know what I mean? Know what I mean? I said, know what I mean? Sure. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Said, know what I mean? Said, we take our time to decide, don't gotta be right now. I got the world in my hands as I'm chasing this crown. How ironic, chasing knowledge, the scholars already found it. The prophet has been forgotten, therefore the code is forsaken. Get a familiar feeling when I'm on the shrooms. Old memories resurface, a third eye view. I'm seeing the past life and hearing the hero's word. Told me to carry on, I'm the messenger. Now the sight clearer, 3 eyes open like I'm TN. Bald head too, so of course I got the wisdom. I use it to my advantage, my plan is to save the planet. But all these ramblings are random, the standard has been abandoned now. The pool in my mind is an oasis. Any obstacle we encounter will never fade us. Ain't worried about the label, I just want the real. Let the prophet do the work, so we cop the feel. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Said, know what I mean? I said, know what I mean? I said, know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Know what I mean? I said, know what I mean? I said, know what I mean? Shout out Crates, man, yeah, shout out 50, yeah, shout out S, yeah, shout out Lancaster, Prom Tribe, hey, for sure.
Alright, and we're back. So, we talked about your passion. We talked about kind of your origin and all of that. And let's kind of get into like your music. And what is this?
That is my most well-known project, Quarantry. It came out towards the beginning of the pandemic, around 2020, a little, a few months after March, something like that, like a few months after March. Sitting around, not sure what to do. I was sitting on some heat, and I was like, "Fuck it, I gotta do something."
Okay.
And it took off. Some of my most well-known songs are all on there. It's a 5-track EP. The first complete project me and Digital Crates, shout out Digital Crates, did together.
Shout out to you.
Shout out Digital Crates, man. We've been working together ever since. It's just a dope project. It's got consciousness to it, but it's also got feel good to it.
Okay.
It's got both. The biggest track on there is called For Show, featuring Ren from Forever, Philly group. Shout out Forever, shout out Ren.
Okay.
So that's the most well known. That's my most well known song probably to date. Out of all my songs. And then Rapper's Dream is on there, which is another classic favorite. I actually just dropped a performance video for that on my YouTube from a show we did back in October. So that's a song that a lot of people seem to gravitate towards. And Right Behind You, which that was like a racially conscious track with my homie Eno, who killed the hook. And people surprisingly, I didn't know, because with those stuff, you never know how people are going to react to those,
Right.
But it got support, which I was very happy to see.
Solid. All right, cool. So, how would you describe your music?
I guess like conscious was a lot of it, especially starting out. But I also do talk shit about like how good I am at rapping too, if I'm gonna be like,
Okay.
But that didn't come till later, until I kind of added more to my style. I started out, definitely more conscious. That's definitely like the spirit of it. It's also emotional. I don't sing like Drake, but I do rap about emotional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do, so it's definitely about like relationships, things like that. And the big thing is just helping to show people to think for themselves. That's a message I like to portray as well. Just getting people to try to think for themselves.
Gotcha.
And through showing like how I messed up, like in my life, both the good and the bad. So I guess conscious is like the overall theme, but there's a lot, I guess, involved with that.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
It makes sense.
Thank you.
It makes sense.
Thank you, because I didn't know if it did.
But so you may like conscious
Yeah.
rap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, either that or just stuff I'm going through. Really, it's like that, or it's usually conscious stuff or stuff I'm going through, and then I do, for the people, I do have some party track. I do have some bumpers as well.
Okay.
For the people.
So what is the process like for like you to make a song?
Usually, I will pick a beat that speaks to me in that moment. I usually have like a list of beats, but sometimes some will speak to me more on one day than another. It's just kind of how it works. So I just start that, and I just kind of go from there. I usually just do verses first, and then I figure out the hook. Sometimes the other way around, but usually verses first, then I figure the hook out, or have someone, or I, have help. Sometimes I'll, have someone do the hook and write it as well. Then basically just structure it, form it. Tell Crates might add to it. He might add some DJ scratch. He might add some drops. Do his thing to, he's more than just a beat maker. He really is a producer. He really makes the song better.
Okay.
So,
That's his name, Crate.
Digital Crates.
Oh, okay.
Because he can do anything. He makes all kinds of beats, and he just has beats on beats on beats on beats. That's why it's the Digital Crates.
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So it's the Digital Crates, man. Shout out. So yeah, the process goes from writing, and I usually write first on the notebook, and then I'll copy it into my phone because I feel like I write better when it's pen on paper for some reason than with my phone. I guess because I think I have more time to think. It feels like it flows more. So that's the process, really, and then just we go and record. If I decided that I want in and outs or doubles, I'll do that. Sometimes not. Ad libs, yes or no, and just kind of it's just that's just a feel thing, But as far as the prep, it's all writing lyrics, the verses, and we just go from there.
Okay. What was one of your most memorable songs that you made, or one of your favorite songs that you made?
Man, that's tough. There's a lot. There's a couple I really like. Rapper's Dream, actually, on Quarantine. That was cool because that was just, I heard that beat that day. That and the song For Show, we did it that day in the studio. I heard them that day. I wrote them that day. And he put it together. Got Ren on the hook for Show. But Rapper's Dream, because that one's a personal one. I mean, they're all personal in a way, but that one specifically was was kind of like me venting almost in a way. So that, and the fact that people gravitate towards that one means a lot because it wasn't meant to be, it was more of hey, this is more for me, but the fact that people really gravitated towards it said a lot. And the Bad Universal Love Lesson, which is on The Heart of Winter, which I released, I released that around last winter or spring. That track, which was, it's the Bad Universal Love Lesson. It's really saying how, hey, we will get hurt and then we'll kind of use as an excuse to hurt others, and it's kind of, we get caught up in this bad cycle. That had a dope hook on it with Dia. She's out of Philly too. Shout out Dia.
Shout out to you.
So that one was really dope to write too, because it was dope lyrically, hard, but it was also some emotional shit talked about it. So that combination is a cool. I was proud of myself to be able to hit a cool combination like that.
Okay. We're gonna just switch it off right here, and we're gonna talk about your merch. Is that merch?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's merch. I got more coming. This is just this is the logo shirt. Artimes, and then I was into fantasy games, so this is kind of like a fantasy version of myself. It's got some armor and shit.
Okay.
So yeah, we actually got more merch on the way. Got a store coming, online, all that on the way. And yeah, we got more music on the way. There's an album coming out soon, and there may or may not be another project immediately following it, maybe. But we wink wink. But we definitely got the album Repressed Expression coming out soon, which is a lot different than anything else I've ever done. But it's still me, but it's just a different side of me, and I'm excited for people to hear that.
Okay. All right. So, other than that, is there anything that anybody should be really on the lookout for?
Definitely the most recent track that's going to be coming out is called Hey Yo. If everything passes, it'll be coming out April 22nd. If it doesn't pass, it'll be coming out a little later, but April 22nd, and that's the tribute. Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, AKA Scott Hall, he just recently passed away. So rest in peace. I'm a big wrestling fan. So and his character Razor Ramon, is a character that I think a lot of people like, and especially in hip hop, is a lot of hip hop dudes, like that character. And he was just cool watching him grow up, and I just felt he was worthy of a song. So that's coming out soon. It's called Hey Yo.
Okay.
Make sure you watch out for that.
All right. Any music videos, anything like that to look for?
Yes, there's gonna be a video with that, and there's gonna be, a lot of stuff coming out on the way. But yes, definitely gonna have more videos coming out. I'm posting content every day on my socials. Follow Artimes Prime _ on Instagram, and Artimes_Prime on Twitter. But yeah, I have a lot of videos coming out. You know, a lot of content coming out. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout.
Okay. So like, stay tuned. I guess that's what you were saying.
But basically, yeah, because there's about to be, there's been a little bit of a quiet drought, but there's about to be an explosion.
All right, that's good to hear, man. That's good to hear. I'm glad I got a chance to actually link up with you again.
Absolutely, man. Same.
And yeah, stay tuned and check out his ad. That would be like right here, like right above, right there, like on this wall right here, like
Right there.
right somewhere like right here, right, yeah. But
Follow that.
yeah. Remember, I said I was gonna try that. Remember, you don't remember. But yeah. So it's been your boy Best Worst X, and I still have a fucked up voice. And Artemis Prime, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we are out.
Thank you, man. Peace.
I think. Let's talk about gaming.
All right.
All right. Where did that start? I was like, what was like the first game you picked up?
I don't know if I can remember. The first one was like this, like demo John. Then
Oh, you talking about those ones that came in the magazines?
yeah, it was something like that.
Okay.
And then I remember playing FIFA a lot because my dad was into soccer. He just got that, so I got into that. That was fun. And then I'm trying to remember what I played. Eventually I got into like fantasy games. I don't remember what exactly. It's hard for me to remember, but eventually I got into like Final Fantasy, you know, stuff like that.
Okay. So you in the MMOs and stuff?
Not as much. Sometimes a little bit, but that's sometimes a lot. But a little bit, yeah. But more of just like the RPG, you know, something like that.
Okay.
Because I like getting lost in kind of like a story, especially a dope story, you know, like that, and being able to interact with it. And you know, like the world, it's just a cool thing to get lost in. You know, a lot of times the world is in danger, so you know you're doing that whole save the world thing, and it's just it's fun to do.
Okay. You into any of like the Dark Souls games or anything?
Everyone tells me to get into that, but I haven't gotten into them yet.
Because I mean, Elden Ring or whatever is out, and I was like, I keep seeing shit on my like timeline about that damn game, man.
I keep seeing it too, but I keep hearing those games are like really, really hard. Not like a little bit of a challenge, but I also play games to relax. And too much of a challenge, I'm throwing a controller at the TV. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I feel that.
You know?
So what have you been playing lately?
Lately, there's a new wrestling game that came out, and that shit's fun.
I've been seeing gameplay of that, and it looks so fun, man. I'm
that
not
shit's
gonna lie.
fun.
It looks like they finally did a wrestling game right for once.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
It's been wow.
It's a lot of fun. I've been playing that. NBA 2K sometimes, and
Okay.
recently, because I usually do PlayStation, but I just switched over to Xbox. So I finally played Knights of the Old Republic, the Star Wars game from like way back in the day.
Okay.
It was on like Xbox One, and I'm into Star Wars, so like that shit's cool too. I've been playing that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's solid. So, what's your gamer tag?
Artemis P. I had to think because it changed. Artemis ARTIMESP on Xbox now. I used to be on PlayStation, but now
Why?
you catch me on Xbox. Just because like literally there was no reason. I was like, just because I never played Xbox. Like I've played it, but never like owned it. I'm like, why not switch and just see how the other side lives.
Okay.
That's really the only reason.
All right. So you still got both, or you got rid of your PlayStation?
I do have my PS4 chilling, you know, for if I ever want to play. There's certain games there that I still might want to play. So it is there chilling. So that tag is Artemis Prime. But yeah, usually I've been on the Xbox more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Xbox, the Series X. Yeah. Xbox.
All right. So it's PlayStation over here and it's Xbox over there. What's your sides? And don't think about the voice. It'll go away eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. But It's your boy, Best Worst X, and Artimes Prime. I just wanted to be random for a little bit. Let's end this for real.
All right. All right, peace.